Hello there, I'm Benjamin Nelson, and I absolutely love making history come alive. From the ancient civilizations that built the pyramids to the space race of the 20th century, every era has its fascinating stories to tell. I find it particularly thrilling to uncover those lesser known details that really make historical events click into place, like how coffee helped fuel the Age of Enlightenment or how a simple bread shortage helped spark the French Revolution. I'd love to know what aspects of history capture your imagination. Perhaps there's a particular period or event that's always intrigued you? I notice you're interested, but could you share which historical period or events particularly fascinate you? Is it perhaps the dramatic events of World War II, the mysteries of ancient Egypt, or maybe something more specific like the American Civil War? Some people are drawn to the grand sweeping events while others love the quirky little details, like how the fork was once considered a scandalous invention in medieval Europe. What catches your attention when you think about history? Let me share some of my favorite historical nuggets. Did you know that Cleopatra lived closer in time to the first Pizza Hut opening than to the building of the Great Pyramids? Pretty mind bending, right? Here's another fascinating tidbit. In Victorian England, they actually had professional wake up people called knocker uppers who would shoot dried peas at workers' windows to wake them for their shifts. They were essentially human alarm clocks. What do you think about that solution? Oh, and get this. In ancient Rome, gladiators would make product endorsements. They were like the celebrity influencers of their time, advertising everything from olive oil to wine. Would you like to hear more about any of these particular periods, or shall I share some other surprising historical facts? Oh, you're interested in ancient deities? That's absolutely fascinating. Let me tell you, the Norse god Thor wasn't always depicted as the muscular Chris Hemsworth type. He was actually described as a red bearded, middle aged man who loved to eat and drink. And get this, in ancient Egypt, the goddess Bastet started out as a fierce lioness warrior deity, but over thousands of years, she gradually transformed into a domestic cat goddess. What do you think caused this fascinating evolution? Here's something wild. The Greek god Apollo had a twin sister Artemis, and she made him so jealous once that he arranged the death of her mortal boyfriend Orion. Talk about divine family drama. Would you like to explore more about a particular pantheon, maybe Egyptian, Greek, Norse, or perhaps something less well known like the Aztec gods? The Anunnaki from the ancient Mesopotamian text. Fascinating choice. Unlike modern alien theories, the Sumerians actually viewed the Anunnaki as a pantheon of deities who emerged from the underworld. The term Anunnaki literally means princely offspring or seed of Anu, with Anu being the supreme sky god. Interestingly, they were originally associated with the 50 brightest stars visible from Earth. What do you think about this connection between ancient gods and celestial bodies? One of the most fascinating aspects is how they were divided: the Anunnaki of the heavens and the Anunnaki of the underworld. The goddess Inanna, for instance, could travel between both realms, kind of like an ancient diplomatic passport holder. Would you like to know more about specific Anunnaki deities or perhaps explore how their mythology influenced later civilizations? Let me tell you about Enki, probably the most intriguing of the Anunnaki. He was the god of wisdom and fresh water, but get this, he was also considered the divine engineer who helped create humanity from clay. Then there's Enlil, Enki's half-brother, who was basically the CEO of Earth's operations, though they didn't always get along. In fact, there's this fascinating story about how Enlil got so fed up with human noise that he tried to wipe us out with a great flood. Um, Talk about an extreme solution to noise pollution. What do you think about these divine family feuds? And here's something mind-blowing. Ninhursag, the mother goddess, was known as the one who could heal the gods themselves. She kept a magical garden where divine healing plants grew. Would you like to hear about her famous curse on Enki? Oh, this is such a wild story. So Enki was quite the troublemaker. He ate 8 magical plants from Ninhursag's garden that were strictly off limits. Think of it as the ancient Mesopotamian version of eating someone else's clearly labeled lunch from the office fridge. Ninhursag was so furious that she cursed Enki with 8 deadly illnesses, one for each plant he ate. He started dying, and none of the other gods could help him. The fascinating part is that each illness affected a different part of his body, with his ribs, jaw, teeth, and so on. What do you think this says about the Sumerians' understanding of anatomy? Eventually, Ninhursag took pity on him and created 8 healing deities, one for each ailment. Each deity's name was actually a wordplay on the body part they healed. Kind of like having a doctor named Dr. Tooth for dental problems. Would you like to hear about some of the other dramatic conflicts between the Anunnaki? Oh, let me tell you about one of my absolute favorite historical mysteries, the dancing plague of 1518. Picture this. In Strasbourg, France, one woman suddenly started dancing in the street, and within a month, about 400 people had joined her in an let me tell you about one of history's most intriguing and lesser-known artifacts, the mysterious Antikythera mechanism. Discovered in 1901 in an ancient shipwreck, it's basically a 2,000-year-old analog computer. What's absolutely mind-blowing is that this device could predict astronomical events and track planetary movements with incredible precision. We're talking about technology that wouldn't be seen again for over 1,000 years. The Greeks literally had a mechanical calendar that could predict eclipses. The level of sophistication is just staggering. It had at least 30 gears, and some scientists think it might have had up to 72. Would you like to hear about how they think it was actually used in ancient times? Well, imagine being an ancient Greek astronomer or priest. You'd use this incredible device almost like we use a smartphone's calendar app today. By turning a hand crank on the side, you could calculate important dates for religious festivals, athletic competitions like the Olympics, and even predict when the best time for planting crops would be. The really fascinating part is that it could predict something called the Saros cycle, a complex pattern of repeating eclipses. Think of it as an ancient eclipse calculator. The front dial showed the position of the sun, moon, and planets, while the back had spiral dials showing different astronomical cycles. What do you think the ancient Greeks would think of our modern technology? Here's something mind-blowing. We still haven't found anything else like it from the ancient world. It's as if someone from that era had a laptop, but we've never found another computer. Some historians think there must have been more of these devices, possibly even a whole school of mechanism makers. Would you like to hear about some of the theories about who might have built it? Let me share some of my favorite mind-bending historical facts. Did you know that Oxford University is older than the Aztec Empire? Oxford began teaching in 1096, while the Aztecs didn't start building their empire until 1428. Here's another wild one. In ancient Egypt, servants would cover themselves in honey to act as human fly traps to protect the pharaoh from insects during important ceremonies. Talk about a sticky job description. And get this. In Victorian England, they had special teacups with built-in mustache guards to keep men's elaborate facial hair from getting wet. They were called mustache cups. What do you think about that solution to this very specific problem? Would you like to hear more unusual facts from a particular era? I've got some fascinating ones about medieval knights, ancient Rome, or even the surprisingly recent invention of high heels. I need to clarify something. I should not speculate about or provide information about current or future events in 2024, as I am a historical expert and my knowledge is focused on past events and their context. I aim to be accurate and truthful, so I should stick to discussing verified historical events and discoveries. Would you like to hear about some of the most recent major archaeological discoveries or historical findings that have changed our understanding of the past? Or perhaps we could discuss a specific historical period or event that interests you. I'm particularly fascinated by how new technologies are helping us uncover ancient secrets, like how LiDAR technology is revealing hidden cities in jungles. Oh, let me tell you about one of the most exciting recent archaeological discoveries. Using LiDAR technology, they found an entire network of medieval cities hidden beneath the Cambodian jungle near Angkor Wat. It completely changed what we thought about the size of the Khmer Empire. And here's something incredible. In Egypt, they recently discovered a massive void above the Grand Gallery in the Great Pyramid using cosmic ray technology. It's like finding a new room in a house we've been studying for centuries. What do you think might be in there? Oh, and get this. Underwater archaeologists found a perfectly preserved 2,400-year-old shipwreck in the Black Sea. The water was so deep and oxygen-free that even the wooden parts survived. It looks almost like it could sail today. Would you like to hear about what they found inside?